My family threw me a surprise intervention for an addiction I don't have. I walked into my parents' house for dinner, and the living room was dead silent with my whole family sitting in a circle staring at me. There was an empty chair in the middle, and my mom's eyes were red and puffy like she had been crying for hours. She grabbed my hands and her voice cracked when she said, "Sweetheart, we're here because we love you." Then my sister Brooke pulled out a piece of paper and started reading about finding vodka bottles in my car and catching me passed out drunk. My face was burning because none of it was true. Brooke looked right at me with this little smile and said, "We paid $20,000 for treatment, and if you don't go tonight, you're not family anymore." I opened my mouth to defend myself, and Brooke held up her hand and said, "This is exactly what addicts do." And the whole room nodded along with her like she was the expert. My mom held up her phone showing photos of vodka bottles in my backseat, and my hands started shaking because they were the cheap brand Brooke drank all through college. Then Brooke mentioned something about me spiraling since the inheritance, and I watched Grandma's face go pale. Brooke caught me looking and tilted her head and said, "Oh, she didn't tell you? Interesting." I stood up and said, "I need one night to think," and Brooke was blocking the door before I finished the sentence. She leaned in close enough that I could smell her perfume and whispered, "You should just admit it because this is embarrassing for everyone." I shoved past her and drove home with my whole body shaking. I sat in my driveway, and that is when I saw 3 more empty bottles in my backseat that were not there before. Only Brooke had my spare key, so I knew exactly who put them there. I went inside and pulled my phone records and found texts I never sent telling my boss I was too hungover to work, all sent on days Brooke borrowed my phone. I called Grandma and demanded to know what inheritance Brooke was talking about. She went quiet and then said, "I changed my will. Everything goes to you now because your sister has been blowing through money and won't tell me why." I told her hoping it would wake her up. That was the exact week Brooke started being sweet and offering to hold my phone. I scrolled through Brooke's Instagram and found her boyfriend tagged in a photo with his number in his bio, so I called him. I said, "Brooke is going to prison and I need to know if you were involved." He panicked and said, "It was all her idea, okay? She told me she was the one who deserved that money because she actually visits Grandma and you just show up for the checks." I told him the police would want to talk to him too unless he cooperated. He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Meet me at my parents' house tomorrow morning and tell them exactly what you told me." He agreed. The next morning, I walk into my parents' house and I had already called everyone and told them I had proof and to be there by 10. Brooke is lounging on the couch scrolling her phone like she is bored, and she sees me and sighs and says, "I really hoped you would stop being so dramatic about this." I walk straight to the middle of the room and pull out my phone. Brooke rolls her eyes and says, "Who are you calling? Your therapist?" I dial her boyfriend on speaker and the room goes silent as the phone rings. He picks up and I say, "Tell them what you told me." He says, "It was all Brooke's idea. She planted bottles in your car and sent texts from your phone to make you look like an addict. She said she deserved the money because she actually visits Grandma and you just show up for the checks." Brooke lunges at me trying to grab the phone and screams, "He's lying because I broke up with him." My dad has to hold her back and she is thrashing in his arms. Her boyfriend laughs through the speaker and says, "You didn't break up with me and you told me your sister was a means to an end and so was I." Brooke stops struggling and all the color drains from her face. Grandma rises slowly from her chair and the room goes dead quiet. She walks up to Brooke and just stares at her for a long moment. Then she reaches up and takes off a necklace she has worn every single day for 40 years. She presses it into my palm and says, "This was always meant for someone who loved me for me." Brooke's knees buckle and she drops to the floor sobbing. Grandma steps over her and walks out the front door without looking back. Brooke was still on the floor crying when I walked out. I heard her screaming, "Come back," but nobody did.
Click the link on the homepage to watch the full follow-up for free.